What's going on, guys? This is Kyle Layton for TPM's Poll Tracker, and today we're going to talk about Wisconsin's recall election, which is less than a week away. You guys remember a year ago? It was all Wisconsin, all the time. Republican Governor Scott Walker and the GOP legislature proposed a bill that would have severely limited collective bargaining rights for most public employees. Protests against Walker's bill drew thousands of people to Madison. They occupied the State House, and it turned into a media frenzy that really captured the nation's attention. Now, Governor Walker was eventually able to push that bill through, but he paid for it with a high disapproval rating throughout most of 2011. And State House Democrats, along with organized labor, promised to recall him. And they made good on that pledge, collecting more than 1 million signatures from Wisconsin voters to force the recall, which was almost twice as many as they needed. And it's almost half as many people who actually voted in the 2010 gubernatorial election. Now, it's unscientific, but if you were to use, let's say, the outrage meter to gauge how exactly Governor Walker would do in this recall election, you'd probably think he was about to go down in flames.
Wisconsin is open for business.
But here's the deal. Governor Walker's message of taking on the unions, cutting back spending, and balancing budgets is actually a really popular one. And while he had a really negative approval rating in 2011, it's actually come back in 2012. And when it became clear that the recall election would go ahead, Governor Walker was able to take advantage of a loophole in state law that allowed him to raise unlimited sums of money, and that's really made a difference. He's outraised his Democratic opponent, Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett, by vast sums, and he's outspent him on TV almost 3-1. In addition, national Democrats have really lowered expectations when it comes to Wisconsin. Here's DNC Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz last week in an interview with C-SPAN.
What do you believe would be the repercussions for Democrats if they end up losing in the recall?
I think, honestly, there aren't going to be any repercussions.
So now let's go to the scores, where you can see the reason for some of this trepidation on the behalf of national Democrats. For most of this race, Governor Walker has held a small lead. We're dealing with a very polarized electorate in this case. Operatives from both parties say that you either love or hate Walker right now, and the whole election will hinge on whether those two sides can turn out their base. Now, there's been some good news for Democrats, because reports on the ground have shown that early voting is actually up in Milwaukee and Dane counties, which is the home of Madison. So the question is going to be, can Walker maintain his small edge in the polls and carry that through to Election Day? Or can Democrats erase that lead with almost historic levels of turnout? Thanks for watching, guys. This is Kyle Layton from TPM's Poll Tracker, and we'll see you next week.